Welcome to this, the latest in our series of Cathedral history podcasts. Gudrun Warren, the Cathedral Librarian, introduces the Birkbeck Morse, one of the great treasures of the Cathedral.
When Bishop Graham Usher was enthroned as Bishop of Norwich on the 9th of November 2019, he was wearing what are known as the Bishop's Birkbeck cope, mitre and morse. The morse is the clasp that holds the cope, or ecclesiastical cloak, in place. In the case of the Bishop's Birkbeck Morse, it is extremely elaborate. Before focusing on the morse, we will investigate the origins of this set and why they are associated with the name Birkbeck. William John Birkbeck, known as John, was born in 1859 at Hill House, Thorpe. His father was William Birkbeck, a banking partner of the Gurneys, and his mother was Elizabeth Cater. He was educated at Eton and took a degree in history at Oxford. After Oxford, he studied at the Royal College of Music from 1883 to 1888, and in 1883 he married Rose Catherine, daughter of his father's banking partner, Sir Somerville Arthur Gurney. Although his father was a Quaker, the younger Birkbeck turned to Anglo-Catholicism, and his faith became a major factor in his life, particularly when, in 1888, he was invited to be the Church of England representative in Russia at the celebrations of the 900th anniversary of the conversion to Christianity of Saint Vladimir. Birkbeck spent the rest of his life working towards developing understanding of Russia, its people and its faith in England, with the ecumenical aim of promoting unity between the Church of England and the Russian Orthodox Church, and he wrote extensively on the subject. Birkbeck preferred to focus on greater understanding as the basis for mutual respect and rapprochement, rather than forever discussing differences and divisions. He also worked with the second Viscount Halifax on greater understanding between the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. Birkbeck had residences in London and in Thorpe on the outskirts of Norwich. Then he bought the estate of Stratton Strawless, Norfolk. He oversaw works to the Church of St Margaret Stratton Strawless, commissioning John Ninian Comper, the noted ecclesiastical architect and designer, to undertake works including new nave seating and a font cover. Birkbeck visited Russia many times and brought back all sorts of things, including gemstones and some cloth, the remains of a bolt originally woven to provide robes worn by the Emir of Bukhara at the coronation of Tsar Nicholas II in 1896. Birkbeck commissioned Comper to produce the Birkbeck cope set, which he presented to John Sheepshanks, Bishop of Norwich, to wear at the coronation of King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra in 1902, at which Bishop Sheepshanks was acting as a supporter to Queen Alexandra because he was Bishop of Norwich, the diocese in which lies the royal residence of Sandringham. The cope's hood and orphreys were woven by the Sisters of Bethany, Comper's favourite ecclesiastical textile makers. The morse was made by a London company called Barkington and Krall. This company was founded in the early 1860s by the partnership of Jes Barkington, a Danish metal worker, and Carl Christoph Krall, a German silversmith. Barkington designed a silver presentation vase which was a gift from the Danish people to Princess Alexandra upon her marriage in 1863 to the then Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII. The morse is made of silver gilt, set with amethysts, pearls and emeralds, with a pendant made of a yellow topaz. The topaz and possibly all the other gems were brought from Russia by Birkbeck. Russia was certainly a source of emeralds and amethysts. In modern times, the first emerald was found in the Urals in 1830, but the Roman writer Pliny considered that some of the best emeralds of his day came from Scythia, which is modern Siberia. Siberia was also considered in the 19th century to be the source of the finest amethysts. Symbolically, gems are considered to carry certain powers and gifts. The emerald is thought to be useful in curing disease, the amethyst to protect against intoxication, and the pearl is a symbol of purity. The yellow topaz, one of the hardest stones after diamond, symbolises love, as well as having healing and protective powers. The outer border of the morse is of fleur-de-lis and roses, symbols of the English monarch. The central panel of the morse is a depiction of St George slaying the dragon, all within an architectural setting, pediment below with the central column extended to provide the hanging for the topaz pendant, and above an elaborately decorated canopy of 3 niches. St George is the patron saint of both England and Russia. The historical George was born in Cappadocia, now modern Turkey, in the 3rd century AD, to Christian parents, and he grew up in Palestine. He joined the Roman army, rising to the rank of tribune. He resigned in protest against Diocletian's persecutions of Christians and was arrested, tortured and killed, refusing to deny his Christian faith. The more familiar story of St George is the myth of his encounter with a dragon. In this story, George comes upon a city which is being terrorised by a dragon living in a nearby lake. The local population fed first sheep and then people to the dragon to appease it, until the king's daughter was chosen by lot to be the next victim. Luckily, at this point, George appears and learns from the king's daughter what is going on. George attacks and kills the dragon, ascribing his victory to his Christian faith. St George's popularity as a national patron saint is due to his martial prowess. Edward III sealed his importance in England by adopting him as the patron of his new Order of the Garter, housed at Windsor Castle. The George Cross, the highest award for civilians, is also named for St George, who is depicted on the award's cross. Russia, too, has high-status honours named for St George. The reverse of the morse bears inscriptions giving some of its history. Firstly, it reveals that the morse contains what might be called a relic. Askest thou, reader, what is reserved in this casket? It is chrism from the consecrated brow of King Edward the Peacemaker. Pray thou that he who sought peace and ensued it may obtain peace. Edward VII was known as the Peacemaker because of his diplomatic efforts to forge good relations with the countries of Europe, most notably with France, the traditional enemy of England. Secondly, the inscription explains that this cope once lent to John, Bishop of Norwich, while assisting in the coronation of King Edward VII, is now humbly dedicated to the perpetual use of the successors of the aforesaid bishop by William John Birkbeck of Stratton Strawless, Esquire, in the year of our Saviour 1916. Edward VII had died in 1910 to be succeeded by his eldest son as George V. Bishop Sheepshanks retired as Bishop of Norwich in 1910, succeeded as Bishop by Bertram Pollock. Sheepshanks died in 1912 and is buried in the southwest corner of Norwich Cathedral, Cloister Garth. William John Birkbeck died in the same year he gave the cope and morse to the bishops of Norwich. Shortly after returning from Russia, he fell ill and died on June 9th, 1916. But the morse and its accompanying cope continues to bear witness to the life of a man who was devoted to the Church of England and her interests.